He was a billionaire with everything: money, power, and influence. But one quiet evening at a gas station in rural Arizona, all of that crumbled in front of strangers. His credit cards failed, one after another, leaving him humiliated as whispers spread, "Fake rich. Another fraud." The man who once ruled boardrooms now stood powerless, mocked for not affording $28 of gas. And just when it seemed the night couldn't get worse, two little black girls stepped forward, changing his life and exposing a truth far darker than anyone imagined. Michael Reynolds wasn't just another wealthy man. At 45, he was the founder of NovaCore Systems, a tech empire worth billions. His life had been built on sharp decisions, endless hours, and a reputation as one of the brightest innovators in America. He lived in penthouses, flew private, and wore watches worth more than most people's yearly salary. To the outside world, he seemed untouchable. But on that quiet evening in rural Arizona, Michael wasn't in a boardroom or surrounded by luxury. He was alone, driving his Lexus down a stretch of highway where the desert stretched for miles. He pulled into a Chevron station, expecting nothing more than a quick stop to fuel up before continuing his trip. Just $28 of gas, something he hadn't thought twice about in decades. As he stepped out, dressed in casual clothes but with that unmistakable aura of wealth, no one paid him much attention. To the other drivers waiting in line, he was just another customer. But beneath the surface of that ordinary stop, something was brewing. Something that would strip away the image of power he carried and reveal just how fragile status could be. Michael swiped his card. Declined. Tried another. Declined. The whispers started. A chuckle here, a sneer there. Strangers questioning his worth, mocking the idea that someone driving a luxury car couldn't afford gas. He felt the eyes on him, the quiet judgment cutting deeper than words. What he didn't know was that this moment, this humiliation, was only the beginning. And the people who would step forward to change everything weren't powerful executives or wealthy allies. They were two little girls with nothing more than a yellow purse and $17.80 in coins. Michael Reynolds had faced boardroom betrayals and corporate espionage before, but nothing could have prepared him for the humiliation he endured that evening at a quiet Chevron station in rural Arizona. One by one, he swiped his cards. Declined. Declined again. Declined a third time. The gas pump's small digital display had never felt so menacing. Around him, drivers' faces twisted in impatience. A man in a pickup truck sneered, "Driving a Lexus and can't even pay for $28 of gas?" A woman chuckled, shaking her head, whispering to her companion, "Probably just another fake influencer pretending to be rich." Every word cut Michael deeper than he could admit. He knelt beside the pump, checking his phone, confirming that the digital accounts he managed for years had been deliberately blocked. Someone was targeting him, and not just for embarrassment. Michael's stomach churned as he remembered the files he had discovered 3 weeks earlier. Secret contracts, illegal surveillance records, and evidence of political manipulation orchestrated by his own company. The betrayal had come from Daniel Cross, his closest friend and business partner, who had forced him out and begun dismantling his reputation piece by piece. As the humiliation swelled, two small voices pierced the tension. "We can pay for him," said two little black girls, no older than 8, stepping forward with colorful braids and a tiny yellow purse clutched tightly between them. Their mother, Monica Carter, moved to stop them, cheeks burning with embarrassment, but the girls refused. Inside that purse were just $17.80 in coins, a small sum by any measure, but their offer radiated courage and empathy. Michael knelt, tears prickling his eyes, and silently acknowledged the humanity he hadn't felt in years. Social media had already begun turning the event into a viral spectacle. Photos of Michael, slumped in humiliation next to the pump, were shared with captions mocking the billionaire beggar. Hashtags exploded. Memes spread across the internet like wildfire. And then, a direct message from Daniel. "Hiding in a cheap motel won't save you. And by the way, Faith and Joy lived nearby. It would be a shame if anything happened to them. Fear surged through Michael, not for himself, but for the two girls who had shown him unexpected kindness. This was no longer just about his ruined reputation. It was about protecting the innocent. He activated a contingency he had prepared months earlier, a digital dead man's switch capable of releasing every piece of incriminating evidence to global journalists if he was harmed. But he refused to wait passively. Reaching out to Sofia Martinez, a Pulitzer-winning investigative journalist, he handed her the contracts, wire transfers, and recordings. She immediately grasped the magnitude. This could topple more than a corporation. It could shake the government itself. Meanwhile, Michael secretly funded $300,000 in upgrades for the girls' school in Phoenix, installing security systems and setting up an education trust. Their small act of bravery had sparked a resolve in him to protect not just them, but the countless children vulnerable to injustice around them. All the while, Daniel and his team celebrated. They saw Michael's humiliation as a victory, Novacore's stock climbing while his reputation crumbled. What they didn't realize was that Michael's hidden network of loyal engineers, hackers, and journalists was already in motion. Using backdoors he had built years earlier, he copied every incriminating email, transaction, and meeting log. The night ended with Michael leaving the gas station, not defeated, but determined. What began as a moment of personal humiliation was about to ignite a battle for justice that no one, not even Daniel, would see coming. The following days brought a storm Michael Reynolds could never have anticipated. Novacore's stock soared as Daniel Cross and his team savored what they thought was Michael's permanent downfall. Social media mocked him relentlessly, painting the man who once commanded boardrooms as a figure of ridicule. But behind closed doors, Michael's determination burned brighter than ever. Every humiliating image, every viral post, fueled a single purpose: justice. Then the moment of reckoning arrived. Michael's network, quietly activated, unleashed the trove of evidence he had safeguarded. Every secret email, every financial transfer, every conversation implicating Daniel and the company's illegal surveillance operations poured into the hands of investigative journalists across the globe. Headlines exploded overnight. Novacore exposed: secret surveillance on 220 million Americans. The revelations were damning. And the most shocking of all was Daniel's own voice, caught threatening the lives of Faith and Joy Carter. The world gasped. Parents, activists, and ordinary citizens were outraged. Hashtags like #NovacoreLeaks trended worldwide, and protests erupted outside Novacore's towering headquarters. The FBI descended within hours, seizing records and interrogating executives. Daniel Cross, once untouchable, found himself escorted out in handcuffs, stunned by the consequences of his greed and cruelty. Meanwhile, Michael watched the events unfold with a mixture of relief and exhaustion. He realized that the little girls who had stepped forward with nothing more than $17.80 in coins had ignited a movement far beyond what anyone could have imagined. Their act of kindness had become the catalyst for exposing corruption, protecting the innocent, and restoring a sense of justice that had long been absent from his world. At that moment, Michael understood a truth he had buried beneath billions of dollars and corporate conquests. Real wealth wasn't measured in bank accounts. It was measured in courage, in integrity, and in the ability to turn humiliation into change. And as the news cameras captured Faith and Joy standing proudly with their mother, smiling at the nation they had inspired, Michael knew this was only the beginning. The question now loomed larger than ever. Could one act of compassion really change the world? Months later, Michael Reynolds' life had transformed in ways no one could have predicted. He no longer ran billion-dollar corporations or chased profits for the sake of power. Instead, he founded the Faith and Joy Foundation in Austin, Texas, a nonprofit dedicated to protecting whistleblowers, exposing corruption, and defending those who risk everything to reveal the truth. In its first year alone, the foundation processed over 230 cases, resulting in billions in fines and dozens of executive arrests. Michael had turned personal humiliation into a force for systemic change, proving that courage and integrity could outweigh even the darkest betrayals. Faith and Joy Carter became symbols of hope and compassion nationwide. Their small act of generosity, offering $17.80 in coins to a struggling billionaire, had ignited a chain reaction that protected countless innocent lives and exposed corruption at the highest levels. In televised interviews, their mother, Monica, shared how her daughter's kindness transcended money, status, and fear, inspiring millions to believe that morality and bravery can still make a difference. As for Daniel Cross, justice finally caught up. He was sentenced to 14 years in federal prison, forced to confront the consequences of greed, betrayal, and cruelty. In court, he admitted something profound. 2 little girls taught me more about morality in 5 minutes than I learned in 20 years of business. His confession underscored the story's central truth, that the most powerful lessons often come from the smallest, most unexpected voices. Michael often sat at his desk, a framed photo of faith and joy holding the Young Citizens of the Year award from the governor of Arizona before him. He reflected on the night at the Chevron station, the fear, the mockery, and the moment when 2 small hands offered more than money. They provided humanity. True wealth, he realized, wasn't in bank accounts or titles. It was in the ability to turn humiliation into justice, cruelty into accountability, and kindness into a movement. And it all began with 2 little girls, a yellow purse, and $17.80 in coins. So the question lingers for every viewer. In a world often blinded by greed and power, what small act of courage could you offer today that changes someone's life forever? What would you have done if you were in Michael's place? Could one small act of kindness really change the course of someone's life? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more incredible true stories that remind us what courage and compassion can do.